Oh wow, you actually came back. The first video was pretty bad. I have made a lot of progress since the last video. I have implemented a lot of new features. The first feature that I added after the last video was lighting. As you can see around the scene, I have various lights. I think there's around 8. They are all point lights. The basic idea behind a point light, if you're not familiar, is it's calculated based on a diffuse component, a specular component, and an ambient component. The ambient component, as you can think of, is the light that just kind of moves around the room. I don't have any global illumination, so there's not really anything fancy there. It's just a kind of like a percentage on how much of the light we're going to reflect on each object, no matter if there's a light near it or not. Then the next layer is diffuse, which is kind of the area where it's actually being lit, but you don't see the actual reflection of the light itself. And then the specular highlight as well, it's a reflection of the light itself. That's where you usually get like that kind of white highlight if you're looking at a very shiny surface. The next feature that I added, and probably one of the coolest features and one of the features that excited me the most, at least at this point, is my model loader. As you can see, I now have a gun model loaded in and rendering, as well as a factory and a plane that's actually sitting on top of the factory. I'm using a model loading library called Assemp, which allows me to load in, I think, various types of file types, but right now all my models are OBJ. After I completed my model loader, I couldn't help but go on ahead and actually attach a gun to the camera because, well, I thought it was really cool. I'm actually centering this engine around a first-person shooter, so for me it felt really good just to go ahead and do that. It was a little tricky for me to figure out how to do it. Basically all I did was remove the view matrix from the required concatenation of matrices in order to render the gun. Right now there's actually a little bit of a problem with it because it's not correctly keeping track of the proper translation as the camera moves in the world, so the lighting is not actually being applied to the gun. That's something I'll probably address at a later time though. I'm getting a little hungry now. I think I'm going to make me some food. Oh hey, look, it's done. Once I got the gun attached to the camera, I switched gears and worked on a cube map loader. The cube map allows you to take 6 images and wrap it around a cube. As you can see, I actually have a skybox now. I got a little tired looking at just the clear color, because that's actually what you saw in the background, was just what the screen was being cleared and colored with. But now I actually have a starry night to kind of fit the nighttime scene. Since the last video, the frame rate has improved drastically. It went from about 20 frames per second to now it runs at about 300 frames per second. One of the reasons why the frame rate was so bad is because I was drawing the floor with a series of quads, just like an end by end grid, one quad at a time. Now really this isn't a bad thing, but my engine right now doesn't support instancing, so every time I drew a quad, it would go from the CPU to the GPU, and I was doing this, over 1,000 times, which is slowing things down quite a bit. Now what I do is just use one quad, and I scale it up. Another reason why my frame rate was so bad is because I was actually running the engine in debug mode. When I switched to release, it actually gives you a more accurate representation of what the frame rate would be if this were a standalone application. The last big feature that I added was post-processing. I implemented blur. What I did was render the whole scene off screen and then render it to a texture, and then I have a special shader that actually creates the blur effect. I think it's pretty cool. In the last devlog, and actually the title of the last devlog, I implied that I was working on a game engine. I did a little thinking, and I feel like I need to actually clarify a little bit. I'm actually not working on a game engine. I'm actually working on a game, and the underlying components will actually be a game engine. To me, in my mind, I was working on one, but really I'm not. I'm not working on something that's gonna fit multiple genres and that sort of thing. And the focus for right now, as I build this application, is to think along the lines of the game itself, which is going to be a multiplayer-only first-person shooter. So I just wanted to bring that up, just because. Before making this video, I implemented one last small feature, MSAA, which stands for Multi-Sample Anti-Aliasing. Basically, this allows me to take some of the what looks like kind of jagged edges and allow me to kind of smooth those out a little bit. I use 4 samples, which is pretty standard. You probably can't tell very much, but I can. Those are all the features I have added up to this point. If you have managed to make it to the end of this video, I want to thank you. I really appreciate it. See you next time.